So we get underway, sit back with Randy Strossen and myself, David Goldstrom, and enjoy this 94-kilo championship of Europe with David Matam. Matam, 36 years of age, by far the most experienced man in the field. And actually, Randy, you know, you might think that he's over the hill, but fifth in Europe last year, fifth in the world, 365 on both accounts. But what I just said a few moments ago, the man from the B group totaled 370. So he may well move up into a decent ranking position before this afternoon is over.
Yeah, we've got a lot of really closely bunched lifters.
Well, that was not an auspicious start.
No, he's so muscular, you almost think he could have just pressed the weight from there. Wouldn't have made it a good lift, but very, very massive muscularly for a weightlifter. Pulls, gets under it, is not committed to flying under the bar, does not have his position under, does not have his position aligned correctly for going under the bar. No lift.
And unfortunately for him, he came in at 162, and that means that he's out on his own at the moment here, because when I look at the opening totals, well, Intikam Zairov of Azerbaijan, 170 is right up there, along with Didzbalis of Lithuania. But the man who's posted the largest opening total is the Moldovan, and that's Anatoly Kirku, who has suggested that he's going to come in at 172 if the warm-up goes well.
Right, which suggests we might see some pretty good snatching in this class. We're not going to see top world-class clean jerks probably, but we should see some pretty substantial snatches toward the end of the session.
Yeah, when you look at the world records, which you might have seen there, they were numbers, but let me put some names to them, because we're going back in history here. You've got Akikos Kakashvilis of Greece, who was reigning supreme in Atlanta and Sydney, and he holds the European snatch and the world snatch record of 188 kilos. He also holds the world and European total record of 412. And the other name that's on the board there, very, very good Polish lifter, Simon Kolecki, 232 is the top mark for the clean and jerk. Well, we're an eternity away from those numbers at the moment, but back with David Matam. Like his brothers and namesakes, originally from the Cameroon. Well, I'm not sure about the right arm there, Randy.
Yeah.
Three red lights, yeah.
I mean, in a world where you could say, hey, do this if you can to make the lift better, his shoulders should be farther in front of the bar. See how his shoulders are really kind of in line with the top of the bar. Hops this thing, doesn't really get his body through. Very muscular, but you know what? Doesn't really have the best body type for a weightlifter at this level of competition. Arm lockout's not that great. All those factors work against him securing the bar overhead.
Yeah, well, having complimented him on his 2011 performances, he did go to London for the test event. He actually finished up in third place, but I'm pretty sure that's the only experience he's going to get of the London Olympic Games, because really it's all about Dabaya, perhaps Bernardine, the younger of the Bernardin Matam, who you saw with Dabaya, and also Enekin, who you need to watch this evening.
You know, interesting comment you just made, because Matthew Curtin, the competition director, that was one of his goals at the test event. It wasn't just to test the facility, it was to give some lifters a taste of London who weren't going to get it this summer.
Yeah, see, because just to pick up on that point, the real purpose of the test event actually is not for the lifters. It's actually for the organization to check that the facility actually works.
Exactly. But you can do that with lifters who maybe are not going to be there for the real thing. They can be there for the dress rehearsal, but not for the actual show.
Now, Mr. Matam, come on. I haven't seen him lose a total now for 8 years, and that's when he was lifting for the Cameroon in 85 kilos. So we don't want to visit there. We want to have a good third attempt. He really must lock these arms out to take any question away from the referees. He mustn't give them a reason. Now, he's given them a reason again, I think.
Yeah.
That would have been red lighted anyway.
Yeah, he made it easier for them by dropping the bar at the end, but needs to really finish the pull with a flash and get that body under, just like that.
Well, we started with 9, we started, excuse me, with 10. We're now down to 9, and already the man who led in the B group is now already up into the top 10. The first of the 2 Russians, Aslan Bideyev from Kabada, near the Caucasus. Now, this man in the Russian Cup did 169.211 for 370. It's the second part of the competition where I'm advised that he may make his mark. Well, he certainly needed all of the 4-meter platform.
Pretty shaky too overhead, didn't you think?
Very shaky.
Kind of surprising, you know, for a guy who's got a big clean and jerk, unless that was just really woefully out of position. Surprising to see him shaking that much with the bar overhead. Just has to show that he's got control though, and then he gets a down signal.
Yeah, former junior European champion at 85 kilos. That was Bideyev, and now Enekin.
Another man who might make his mark in the clean and jerk.
Yeah, I think you have to put this into context. The world silver medalist at 85 kilos, he did really well. 5 out of 6 attempts. He got the bronze medal at European level. 378 in Paris, 373 was his 85 kilo total in Kazan. And he's put a total in of 387 for today. Again, the thinking is that by having him in this class, he is particularly light. He is the lightest of the class. He weighed in at 89.20, whereas all of his opponents are up in the 93 kilo range. It means that he's got to make those 4 kilos 20 to come back down, but he's only going to have to do it the once, and that's going to be for the Olympic Games.
Yeah, he's staying within range of that body weight limit that he's got to make. He's not eating out of control.
Nobody else wants 164, so yeah, he will have to follow himself.
Yeah, gets 2 minutes to rest up, get psyched. The physical recovery is not nearly as big as the mental part here. Shaking that miss out of his mind, thinking maybe about what it is he can change, what he can adjust to have a successful lift here.
What I think has been really good about him is in 2010 and 2011, the consistency. You know, he's been putting in 5 out of 6, which is what you need if you're going to win medals. Now, hopefully, we've now seen the one hiccup and he can move on from here. Well, that's what top-class lifters are made of, Randy. They go out there, they learn very quickly, assimilate, and come out and correct.
This is kind of one of his signature marks. Turns that head, he tilts his head at the end of the lift, makes it look awkward even though it's not. You know, this is a very graceful lift, really. And good for him. Adjustment, successful. One more attempt in the snatch, and then we'll bring this into his favorite territory.
Yeah, absolutely, because let's be honest, 164, even as an 85 kilo lifter, is now, you know, well, modest perhaps is not quite the right word, but when you realize that he lifted 170 in Paris, obviously he was absolutely tuned up to deliver at the World Championships on their own home turf.
Right. Well, he produced the goods there, too.
Certainly did, filled the house, and this is Roman Hamachin, and he actually filled Enikin just to go back on it. Of course, Dabaya at that time having a flat period, so he was filling the house while Dabaya was struggling. Now we've seen Dabaya sense that he can come back. Right. Anyway, this is 165. This would take him to third place in the snatch, the second of the two Russians, the winner of the Russian Cup in December. Well, much more convincing than his teammate.
Yeah, you know, walked around a little bit then, but absolutely the best snatch we've seen so far in this session. Pumps the hips, back is arched, explodes, fixes the bar overhead, stands up, walks around just a little bit, but that was a good snatch.
And another long-distance traveller. We never did actually work out whether it was further from Vladivostok to Antalya than it is from your home in California to here. Now Zielinski. And this is a particularly tough weight category, 94 kilos. In Paris, of course, it was Ilya Ilin of Kazakhstan who came back to form. He's not really done a whole bunch since winning in Beijing, but his independent spirit is Mr. Ilya Ilin. And also you had, as I mentioned, Ivanov. You had two Ivanovs actually. You had the Ivanov from the Ukraine and the Ivanov from Russia. And also Saeed Mohammed Pur Karkara from Iran comes into equations, and the Uzbek Nuradinov and Damanov of Russia. And Kirikou was actually only 8th, and you'll see him in a while. This is Turkey, 165 opener again. Just under half a minute to win it.
Sticks that, appreciative crowd. Might want to contain that celebration a little bit. It's early in the night. He might really wish he could have that energy back a little later. Not criticizing him, but you've got to pace yourself. 6 attempts, you might think, well, only 6. He needs to explode in each one of those.
Last year he did 5 kilos more than this, so a pretty straightforward starter there. And Arat gives way to Zielinski. And Zielinski corrects.
Bounded up the steps as if he could barely be contained. He wanted to make up for that initial miss. Pops it right there. Good lift. Little last minute physio here. You know, we are by the Mediterranean. I mean, he looks like he's had a little bit of sun. So he looks slightly pink.
Yeah, it's been deceptive actually. The temperatures out there with the wind blowing, you sort of think it's not quite as warm as it is, but when you sit in the sun, it's very pleasant. So Aslan Bidayev, 4 kilo increase from his first rather shaky attempt. Well, in weightlifting terms, this is not going to win any sort of beauty contest in terms of technique.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised again. I think if he'd had to wait a little while for a down signal, we might have seen a little bit more vibration up there too. Not convinced he just looks like the Statue of Liberty when he's got the bar over there.
And still, David Kavelasvili of Greece on 170 kilos by virtue of lighter body weight over the Albanian Ervis Tabaku, who also lifted 170. Two men on 170 from the B group and threatening to seriously take some scalps. They've already got one, but that was really David Matam's problem of not being able to lift 162 kilos. Now the Romanian, Danciu, European under-23 bronze medalist last year. That's okay. He's also managed in the recent past to do 170, so fairly straightforward starter.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to get a speeding ticket among weightlifters, but he puts everything where it should be. Good lift.
And the bar creeping kilo by kilo, and now we're 168 for Enekin. And this is a 4 kilo increase for him in his temporary appearance in this 94 kilo class. Down in 8th place at the moment. This would move him up 5 places to 3rd.
He really needed that. You know, he gives up a lot of ground anyway in the snatch. He needed it so that he'd be in a favorable position at the end of the session. There's that thing with the head again. It's just sort of a trademark of his lifting style. Nice to come back. You know, he got a bad start tonight, but bounced right back.
Yeah, but he's in quite difficult company. When you look at the opening weights for the clean and jerk, he's got 205. There's a 210, there's a 215. He's not going to have it all his own way.
No, things are quite different in the clean and jerk from the 94 kilo class from the 85 where he's used to playing. This is like really stepping up to big boys league.
Khamachin, 169, still below that B group threshold of 170. Second attempt. First one was good, much more convincing than his teammate, certainly in this first half of the competition. Well, he just held on to that and then drove up.
Yeah, he stuck that. You know, if you watch his hands when he's getting set to lift, you say, well, why are his hands moving like that? What's he doing with those legs moving? This requires an explosion of nervous energy, a quick burst, and he's kind of trying to help fire up that nervous system, I think, with those movements. It's not for nothing, and he flashes through that lift pretty well. Bam. Right there.
Now, the leader in the clubhouse before we got going some 15 minutes ago was the Greek David Kavelasvili. He weighed in at 93 kilos 74, snatched 170, and so actually did Ervis Tabaku of Albania, who weighed in on exactly the same level and also lifted 170. And now comes Intikam Zairov for Azerbaijan, but he weighed in at 93.40, so this is now for the outright lead in the snatch. This man who won the London test event in December on the Olympic platform to be.
Well, Not what he wants. He's looking at his hand. Now, that'll often happen when a lifter misses. Looks at his hand as if he just tore a callus, and that's the reason why. Great angle to see why he didn't make that lift. He didn't finish the pull. He didn't race down to the bottom position. When you have a class this large, basically you have two subgroups. This is where we move from group 2 within this category to group 1, really. These are going to be more likely to be the guys to finish at the top. This is the 170 plus crowd in the snatch. Well, having said that, excuse me, David, everyone's moved up now from 170, so he will be following himself.
Yeah, this is really difficult. This is what you actually don't want to happen in a large class like this, because what you really want to do is to have the whole class steaming forward and motivation and interplay amongst all of them, and this makes it a very staccato operation, and it makes it difficult because a lot of these lifters will not enjoy the fact that they're following themselves. They've got plenty of time, but in a funny sort of way, they'd much rather be working to a 60-second opportunity rather than a 120-second.
Yeah, you know, kind of step back too and get the lay of the land, see what the other guys are doing, because after all, you are competing against them as well as yourself. If you're going to miss in a way, you know, it's bad to miss your opener, but you don't have to rest on it physically. Come right back. He's coming back in about 1 minute.
Top 10 in the world. Last year in Paris, 177, 215 for 392. Was aiming for 390 tonight. And if he wants to get there, he has to make this. So once again, second opportunity to go into the overall lead.
He's in real trouble now.
He's in serious trouble, and we started with 10, and unless he can put this right, we'll be down to 8 contenders for the overall championship.
And right there is where he missed it. Overhead. Looked to me as if he might have jumped forward actually a little bit on that.
Now, Zielinski, not quite the youngest of the class, at 21. Now, a hiccup first time, then a correction, 165, now 170. And this is new territory for him.
Oh, and he claims it. He says, I want this new territory, I like it.
Yeah, he finished 4th in Europe. Actually, he finished 5th in Europe last year, but was promoted to 4th after the disqualification of Pogosyan of Armenia.
Very smooth left.
So Bidev, and body weight to take him into the lead. Weighed in at 93.15, higher, lower than the men in the B group. So arms almost at the full extension of the bar here. Well, he's got really wobbly arms. I'm not quite sure what the referees are going to make of that.
I think he'll get the lift. He did.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
But it's because, you got to give him credit, he really fought. He was in a very awkward position. He's rotating clockwise. He's leaning off to his left. Look at this. A lot of extraneous things going on. He's still making the lift. Give him credit. He's a fighter.
Yeah, and the arms were locked out. He got the 3 white lights, and we now have a new man in the lead in the opening phase. And onto the stage now, Intikam Zairov for Azerbaijan, in the unenviable position of having to save the day. A man who consistently has lifted more than 170 in competitions going back over the last couple of years at world and European level. And the way David Matam has now been followed by Intikam Zairov. Never really in tune on any of the 3 attempts, and that means that the Greek lifter from the B group, that's David Kavelashvili, now can't be worse than 8th, as we see Ibrahim Arat really sprinting onto the stage, using an awful lot of energy on his approach, and also after his celebration of a first good attempt. 6 kilo increase. And that pull wasn't completed, and he didn't get under the bar. So that rather leaves him where he was, down in 8th place. It's Bidea for Russia, Kavelashvili for Greece, and then Tabaku for Albania, ahead of Zielinski of Poland. Those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, and now Marius Jancu for Romania. 171 the bar. This for the outright lead. First attempt of 168 was good. This is 3 kilos up on that. And this will be a new personal record on the competition stage. Moved up to this weight category in 2010. Has one more go at it.
And the same way for third attempt.
9 failures, 10 failures actually so far. Hamachin, this for his final attempt, and in his case this is a 2 kilo increase. 165, 169, 171 for the outright lead. So if he makes this, it'll move him up from 5th to 1st, and Russia will be 1st and 2nd. And remember, a couple of their big guns, Alexander Ivanov and also Andrei Damanov, back home watching this. Probably not too concerned at what they're seeing at this particular moment. So Hamachin stays on 169. Just to emphasize that point about the absent Russians, Alexander Ivanov in the World Championships 186 and Andrei Damanov 178. So they certainly haven't the edge on the men representing Russia today. Well, the Turkish fans will, as you can imagine, try to pass as much energy to their man, Ibrahim Arat. So, 3rd and final attempt, and as it was before, this is worth the lead if he can get it. Needs to complete the pull, which he does this time, and, well, has his moment. 171, and Turkey go ahead of Russia. Kavelashvili of Greece drops to 3rd, Tabaku of Albania 4th, Zielinski is now 5th. And when I look at 5th place, 1 kilo separating 1st and 5th at the moment, 2 kilos separating 1st and 6th, 3 kilos separating 1st and 7th and 8th. It is that tight. Now, the man from Lithuania, another man who likes to celebrate when he gets it right, Aurimas Didzbalis, only 20. He is the youngest of this class. posted an entry total of 390. Not the heaviest total, but right in there for a fight of the medals. The man who posted the biggest entry total, Anatoly Kirikou of Moldova, 400 kilos. And he's going to start pretty soon. First attempt, no, by Didzbalis. European silver medalist last year. Bit awkward, but saves the day. Arms were locked out well, and 3 white lights. And Didzbalis takes Lithuania at the very first attempt right to the top of the order. He's now a kilo ahead of Arat of Turkey and 2 ahead of Bidayev of Russia. But both of those gentlemen have finished their work for the first half at least. Moldovan fans now getting behind Anatoly Kirikou, the under-23 European champion a couple of seasons ago and a bronze medalist also in the Europeans in Minsk in 2010. So his European performances have been pretty consistent over the last 2 years. Now this would take him up into second place because he's a bit heavier than Didzbalis, but it's good. And now this competition taking on a different complexion. We have 2 men on 172. Didzbalis, Kirikou, Arat, the 1, 2, 3, Lithuania, Moldova and Turkey. And now Danciu of Romania. 168 he got, missed 171. He's coming back in a kilo heavier at 172. So this would bring him up from 10th place into the bronze medal position. He weighed in at 93.85, which is heavier than both Didzbalis, the current leader from Lithuania, or Kirikou of Moldova, who's in the silver medal position at the moment. And that's a bit costly because that was pretty well for a medal, and more importantly to keep him right on the money. As it is, he's down in 10th place, but only 4 kilos off the lead. But there are 2 men alive and both have 2 attempts. Lithuania yet to get on the medal roster here in the Kepesh Sports Hall. This multi-sport zone, which includes basketball in this particular hall. They've got a pretty good team here in Kepesh, and also a football team across the road. Facilities pretty good here in Antalya for a whole range of sports. I can tell you that there are championships for kickboxing and handball have been staged down here in the last week, 10 days or so, plus a number of training camps. Obviously the weather a big encouragement to bring your sportsmen and women down here. But back to business now, and it's Anatoly Kirikou of Romania, 176. The bar for Didzbalis for his second attempt has gone to 177. But this would be for the lead, and this would give him a 4 kilo advantage over the Lithuanian. No, press out on the right arm, and he's surely not going to get that. Sure, that right arm unlocks. Indeed it did. 3 red lights, and that leaves him in second place. Very clear. Unfortunate. And so we have 1 attempt left. Things have improved though in percentage terms. 29 attempts so far, 13 failures. But this is the crucial one, and this is
Lithuania.
Orimas Ditsbalis for Lithuania, going for gold. Kirikou has still got one attempt left, so it's not all over. Actually, 28 attempts, I should have said, instead of 29, because there's this one, and Kirikou's got one, and Ditsbalis has got one more. So, sorry about the mathematics. It should have been 27 attempts. 13 out of 27 were red lighted. This for a healthy lead. And that's pretty good again. We have the message. Lithuania. Well, their man looking for this European Championship. And Ditsbalis, 20 years of age, looking for a total of 390 or better. And the European bronze medalist of Kazan, when he actually only made 50% of his lifts, well, he could be in for an even better reward. He also went to the President's Cup in Belgorod in Russia in December, got 385 there, 3 more kilos than he got in the Europeans. Now, Kirikou, he's put the bar up a kilo to 178. He has to do that because he is heavier than the Lithuanian, so this is to get it back. That looks a little better. I think the right arm will be given this time. 3 white lights it is, and Moldova take the lead from Lithuania. Just a kilo between them, but these two have pulled away and opened up a margin. Ditsbalis, currently in second place at 177, is now 6 ahead of Arat of Turkey, and 7 ahead of Bidaev of Russia, and 7 also ahead of Kavalasvili of Greece from the B group, Tabaku of Albania from the B group, Zielinski of Poland from today's competition. So the bar has gone to 180 now, and this is actually a pretty decent weight, only 8 kilos short of the long-time world and European record of 188 of Akikos Kakashvidis of Greece. "20 seconds. This for the gold medal and the lead at halfway. Is that 3 out of 3? There is arm movements on the left-hand side there, but he's pretty confident. He's got 2-1. It's a 2-1 decision. 2-1 is good enough unless the jury wish to intervene. Quite a lot of movement on the left arm, but for me the arm did stay locked, and I think that was a good lift, although one referee was doubtful.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Great ending. I mean, 2 really kind of gutsy calls.